The national security law came into effect on Tuesday the 30th of June, and the laws were released later that day at 11 p.m. Its first full day in effect actually came on Wednesday the 1st of July, coinciding with the anniversary of Hong Kong's handover from Great Britain in 1997, 23 years ago. Large protests were always expected. The Civil Human Rights Front, a pro-democracy group responsible for some of Hong Kong's biggest rallies, initially applied for the protest to be approved to the Hong Kong police. However, the authorities rejected the application, citing social distancing laws and a previous history of violence. Thousands of protesters defied this decision and took to the streets anyway, even under the newly passed national security law. The law states that those who are found guilty of secession, subversion, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces can face a maximum sentence of life in jail. Further crimes, including inciting hatred of China's central government, damaging public transport, can be deemed as terrorism, while some national security cases can be decided without a jury. Laws can even be broken abroad, even by non-residents. On the ground, Wednesday's demonstration was actually due to start at 2 p.m. in Causeway Bay. However, protesters, activists and police were grouping around midday, with numbers growing, as were the slogans, chants and pro-democracy songs. Soon after, protesters, activists and police began arguing, with police attempting to disperse crowds. The new purple flag was raised to warn groups that it was potentially breaching the new national security law. Pepper spray was used aggressively by police to keep back press and activists. Protesters still decided to march in and around the Causeway Bay area, often being redirected by police cordon lines. Some first aid and innocent bystanders were hurt by more pepper spray being deployed. As numbers filtered out away from the Causeway Bay area, protesters soon found themselves on the long stretch of Hennessy Road. As we've seen in the past, violent games of cat and mouse ensued, with protesters occupying the streets and building roadblocks until the police would come and clear. The police fired pepper balls at protesters, whilst also used the water cannon to disperse numbers. There were reports of minimal tear gas being fired too. It was reported that a police officer was stabbed in the arm by a protester with a knife. Arrests were made throughout the day, 370 in total, including 10 who breached the national security law. Some of those arrested were later escorted away on a police coach. Despite the national security law being in place, protesters still took to the streets in their thousands throughout the day, as the night drew to a close around 9 p.m.
Despite the national security law now fully in play, its first full day active in Hong Kong, we've seen tens of thousands of protesters take to the streets and have had clashes with the police all day. Right here on Hennessy Road, from Causeway Bay to Wan Chai in Hong Kong Island, we've seen pepper spray, we've seen pepper balls, we've seen water cannons used, arrests. Tension has been still the same here. Hong Kong is still discontent, and despite the new security law in place, I don't expect this to be the last. This is Tommy Walker reporting for Rappler, Hong Kong.